Some people have asked me a little bit about how we judge projects, and I think I can give you a quick answer before going to the rest of the projects. So we basically try to understand the challenge. So that's the first thing that we always look for. How difficult was the challenge? How relevant the challenge was for the organization and even maybe to the world. And then we try to assess the process. How by the book was it, and also how innovative it could be in terms of using new tools. And then the actual outcome of or the output of the project, the deliverables, the storytelling, and also, when possible, the impact, the actual outcome. So how were the results for the organization? This is a very important part of what we do, even though sometimes we can't assess this very properly. And especially in student projects, it's also very an aspect that we always try to judge, because otherwise it's just a report that is not generating any impact. And last but not least, we try to, I was listening to Satu, and Satu was saying that it is a little bit naive to assess how good the project was, but we actually try to do this as well in terms of diversity, inclusion, how good a project was for the environment. So it's the scope of service design has expanded throughout the years. It's not as straightforward to judge projects, but those are kind of like the elements that we use to assess, to evaluate projects in the Service Design Award. So without further ado, I would like to welcome the winner of the Professional Commercial Project, Absa ChatWallet, represented by Sivan.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Good. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Sivan. I am a Senior Design Director at Absa Bank in South Africa. I look after digital and transactional banking. And I'm here to tell you the story of Absa ChatWallet on behalf of my incredible colleagues here in the front line who came with me from Johannesburg, and those that are watching online back home as well. So as I said, my name is Sivan Lapidus. Yes, I do know the perfume Ted Lapidus. No, I am not married to Ted, unfortunately. So let's get into the story I'm here to tell you. Financial inclusion is surely a wicked problem. It lies somewhere in the middle of four huge global challenges that we have: inequality, poverty, education or a lack thereof, and the economic environment. And so solving for financial inclusion at scale is extremely challenging. In Africa, we have 350 million people that are excluded from formal banking. That's 1 in 4 people, 1 in 4 of every person in Africa. So what I suggest you could do is maybe look at the person on your left, look at the person on your right, look at the person in front of you or behind you, and your little group of 4 people, one of you would not have banking services. Take a moment to imagine what it might be like to live without a bank account or a transactional product, digital banking. South Africa is one of the most developed countries in Africa. We have a relatively advanced infrastructure and advanced financial services, but we have the same problem. Only 20% of our population has this issue, so 1 in 5. In South Africa, we have 20% that are either unbanked entirely, so no bank account at all, or a behavior, what we call underbanked. So basically, they use their bank accounts as a mailbox. The salary or wages comes in, and once a month, they would withdraw all their earnings into cash and use that cash for the rest of the month. The scale of the informal economy in South Africa often blows people's minds. We have 56 billion cash payments every year to the value of 213 billion euros. But we also have a great juxtaposition. Technology and technological access is increasing rapidly. We have a lot of entry-level smartphones coming into the country, and now we have about 70% of South Africans having smartphones, so 70% smartphone penetration. And side by side with that, we have this enormous cash economy. So Absa Bank is one of the largest banks in Africa. We have presence in South Africa and 10 markets in Africa. In South Africa, we have 10 million retail customers and over 30,000 staff members. And we were perfectly positioned between these two worlds, trying to connect them with a solution. The design team at Absa is a level 5 maturity design team. We now have over 150 in-house designers across all different disciplines. We work across various digital channels as well as our staff tools. We work on customer value propositions. We influence business strategy and business policy as well. The design team for this project spent over 100 hours with customers, trying to better understand financial inclusion and specifically barriers to traditional banking. What was stopping customers from, getting a traditional bank account? So let me introduce you to Dineo. I'm going to tell you a story about her. Give me 1 second to get to my slides because I forgot I had notes there. Okay, so Dineo is a single mother. She lives in Johannesburg in the township of Orange Farm. Like 33.5% of South Africans, she is unemployed in spite of her efforts to find work. Dineo receives a monthly social grant. That grant for her and her daughter is 860 Rand, the equivalent of 50 euros to live off per month. That grant is not even enough to cover her rent in the shack that you see next to her here in the photo. It also cost Dineo 4 euros to go and fetch her grant from the local government office. Dineo does everything she can to look after her and her daughter. So she wakes up at 3 a.m. every morning to make local South African donuts they called vetkoek and go sell them at the local taxi rank. She walks a few miles to the taxi rank to sell her vetkoek to the workers that are passing by. She sells them for the equivalent of 25 cents and receives payments for them entirely in cash. In a good morning, she can make up to 20 euros, and in a good month, another 250 euros to go with her 50 euros that she gets from the government. But not once, but twice, Dineo has been robbed on the way home from work, losing her entire earnings from the morning. She keeps her hard-earned money in a little box under her bed in the hope that if an intruder comes in, they won't find the money. Most of what Dineo earns goes to transport, food, and her rent, as I said, for her and her daughter. And the small amount that is left, she uses for one of life's simple pleasures, data. WhatsApp brings Dineo joy. It helps her stay connected to families and her friends. She spends about 7 euros per month on a data bundle for WhatsApp. Traditional banking is not even a consideration for Dineo. She doesn't trust banks or large institutions. Banking fees are complicated and hard to understand. Banking itself is complicated as well, and she feels that banks don't consider her worthy of great service experiences. This was one of the key insights that we picked up in our research. So we asked ourselves, how might we empower Dineo with accessible, affordable, and safe banking services, given that cash is pervasive and trust in banks and digital banking is low? And so we created Absa ChatWallet. We took what we knew and what we had learned about customers, each of those customer insights, and created a value proposition that was built entirely around those insights and tailored to their unique needs. So what you can see here, the 4 pillars of the value proposition: an accessible and familiar channel. ChatWallet is a wallet that's built entirely in WhatsApp. It gives people like Dineo access to traditional banking services without ever having to touch a traditional banking channel. It is highly secure. We've introduced facial biometrics and a unique access PIN to ensure that the money in the wallet is kept safe while in WhatsApp. It has an affordable and clear pricing model, no monthly fees, free purchases, and payments for just 5 cents. And lastly, it introduces seamless and easy experiences to Dineo and people like her through a conversational UI as easy as chatting to a friend. And what we also introduced was natural language understanding. So you could simply type, buy mom 30 Rand airtime, and ChatWallet understands. Let me show you a little bit more.
Enter Absa ChatWallet, an innovative mobile money solution built entirely on WhatsApp, one that meets customers where they are. With no monthly fees, free deposits, free airtime or data purchases, and payments for just R1. Now Dineo can open a wallet account in 59 seconds and bank anytime on the app she trusts and uses every day. ChatWallet integrates Absa's award-winning biometric security into WhatsApp and allows users to create a secure PIN for peace of mind. It revolutionizes banking with artificial intelligence, making tasks that Dineo once found complicated as easy as chatting to a friend.
There we go. So I'll tell you, the day that we launched ChatWallet, I sent a message to our CEO and I said, wow, I can't believe it, ChatWallet is here. And she said, yeah, 2 years it took. And I said, in all honesty, in hindsight, I think we were very naive about the challenge that lay before us when we presented the concept 2 years ago. To which she responded and said that you needed that ignorance because otherwise you would have never had the courage to go forward. And I really appreciated what she was saying to us. So we had huge complexity with ChatWallet. We had to straddle between business complexity, so stakeholder dynamics, and compliance, being an official, a regulated financial services organization. We had huge technical complexity. We were talking about integrating our core banking systems, many of which are legacy systems, with an external app like WhatsApp. And human complexity as well. We're talking about behavioral change at scale, not only for customers, but for example, for staff members as well, a real mindset shift. And design lays somewhere between these three, trying to align all of them and come to and take a product to market that would meet everyone's needs. This was our journey from idea to market. You can see we started late 2021 and we launched on the 1st of February 2024. Some of the key highlights, or key milestones rather, in our journey includes we had a first prototype, we worked on the proposition design, we took that to our CEO as part of our presentation, she bought into it. Thereafter, we had to do a board demo to get more funding, and eventually towards, about 6 months before we launched, we went into production testing and a staff pilot. You can see there's obviously design, development, production testing happening throughout the time. But what I want to also draw your attention to is all the other types of testing that we did, which added up to that 100 hours that I spoke about. So we did proposition testing. We tested the actual value proposition. We did service testing. We did UX testing. And then we did production testing throughout the process. And obviously, doing this reduces risk in product launch. I'm going to share with you some of the key learnings. So one of the things we did well was all the time that we spent with customers, obviously just giving the team confidence that the product was aligned to customers' needs. This was a great win for us, and really a win as service design. Our lead service designer, Basi, who's sitting in the row here, created a service simulation where she mocked up what's called a spaza shop. It's basically like an informal convenience store in a township, and got customers, real customers, to onboard onto ChatWallet. Through an empathy mapping exercise, she discovered that there were huge trust issues within that environment. Customers were asking, is it safe to enter my ID number? What if I get scammed? I need to ask my friend if this is safe to do, and they were just generally feeling skeptical. We took these insights to our stakeholders, and what landed up happening is that we saved the organization €1 million investment in a distribution company that was going to sell this entirely in spaza shops. What we will do better next time, and this is also equally important to share with you. Although we did do some testing with frontline staff, and staff were part of our staff pilot, we feel in hindsight that it's important to bring staff on the journey and collaborate with them very early on in your process. They know a lot more about customers that you do, working from deeper within the organization. And by doing so, by co-creating with them, we feel that they would naturally have a predisposition to become ambassadors of the product. So that's what we would recommend you do if you take on a challenge like this. Another thing we did very well, we feel, was internal collaboration. At Absa, we have an incredibly collaborative environment. Sometimes I think maybe it's too collaborative, it's not efficient, but we generally do collaborate across multiple different disciplines. Here you can see, it was 120 people we counted from day one of the ChatWallet concept until today, where obviously we now have a new product and a new channel, so we have a big squad dedicated to the project as well. What you can see here are the names of designers, developers, architects, system analysts, business analysts, process engineers, content writers, marketing specialists, change managers, product managers, pricing specialists, and legal and compliance colleagues as well. So it really was a monumentous task, but we feel that we did the cross-discipline collaboration very well, which in essence improved the quality of the product and made us a lot more efficient. One more thing that we feel like we should do better, earlier production testing. Get into the production environment as quickly as you can. What we found with ChatWallet was that WhatsApp was actually a completely new channel for us. It works very differently to how our mobile banking app works. And so as soon as we got into the production environment, we found out a lot of things that we really didn't know before. And it became a massive fix, you know, before the launch. Here you can see on the left-hand side the design, like just a single screen design from Figma. The right-hand side is what we had in the production environment. We immediately created a standard to say that bullet points should be no longer than 4 words, because suddenly we had bullets all over the place and long lines and orphans and things like that. So this is at a small scale, just looking at a small detail in the UX, but we also tested the end-to-end service when we went into the production environment and learned a lot from that. What is the net result? So the bottom line, ChatWallet today has increased Absa's monthly digital sales by an average of 144%. We're selling more ChatWallets every month than we are selling all our other transactional products combined on digital channels, which really shows that it's meeting the customer need that we hoped it would. There we go. Today we have 97,000 ChatWallets since we launched earlier this year. We have 800,000 transactions, so we're almost at the 1 million mark. And this is really exciting to show you. When we wrote the case study for the Service Design Awards, we had 2.2 million user sessions at that time. When we checked the number yesterday, we were at 7.53 million, which means that we now have actively engaged customers, and we're growing by the minute. But more importantly, let's go back to Dineo and the impact that it can make on one person's life, ChatWallet. At the top here, you can see a customer journey for what it would take to buy airtime being an unbanked consumer without ChatWallet, obviously. You're talking about a walk to the nearest spaza shop and at least 25 minutes of time to purchase airtime in cash. Buying airtime with ChatWallet now, obviously using our natural language understanding journey, which takes less than 30 seconds, is far more efficient for Dineo and people like her. So even though we have the same amount of steps, 7 steps, we have a 98% reduction in customer time to purchase airtime. And going back to the story about Dineo, you'll know that every minute of hers counts because it's an opportunity for her to earn money for her and her daughter. Lastly, I wanted to share this with you. This is actually a real comment that we had on Facebook when we launched from somebody. Obviously, I had to black out the name for privacy purposes, but one customer said, "I've already tried this. What a wonderful addition to the banking world. I was teaching my 74-year-old mom an alternative way of banking." Absa ChatWallet. Thank you, everybody. It's been an honor to be up here and tell you this story.
What a great project, right? So that's what I was meaning when I said yesterday that the Service Design Award is a very interesting opportunity to get your work out to the world and teach other people, show other people how you do it, and maybe advance our discipline. So next, the winner of the professional non-profit category, the project called Modernizing Singapore's Employment Past Legacy Systems to Deliver Seamless Customer Services from Singapore. Please welcome Danny.
Sorry, thanks. Let's do this. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Danny, a lead product owner from the Singapore Ministry of Manpower. A bit about myself, I'm not a service designer. I don't have a background in service design, but I worked with service designers every day on this project. So I'm speaking on this subject from a position of appreciation for what service design can do for a product. Before I go into the content, we wanted to thank the Service Design Network for recognizing our project with the Service Design Award. Thanks very much. Okay, so first, some background on what we do. Our ministry oversees the employment of foreign nationals in Singapore, administering all work passes in Singapore that's required to work. A few additional facts. One is the high strategic impact of our work, noting that about 1/3 of the total workforce in Singapore is made up of these foreign work pass holders. Two, the high transaction volumes we deal with. We are working with about 7.5 million transactions annually through our IT systems, servicing 100,000 businesses and 280,000 households in Singapore. And three, the high collaboration across government agencies involved in regulating the work pass framework. So we have about 30 government agencies that share in the processes and/or data that we collect. So the project concerned transforming and modernizing a legacy IT system. And we started by asking ourselves, what was the value to our customers? What was the value to our internal users and our partners? And what would be the North Star to guide us through the many decisions that we'd have to make over the years? After rounds of debate between business owners, management, design, and product teams, we agreed that the highest value idea to us would be seamless service delivery, fast work pass processing speed, and certainty of case outcomes. So these ideas were all captured in our product vision, goals, and targets, which you see on screen. So we'd want to make one wider point about complexity in our operating environment. So to administer all work passes in Singapore, we need to live with complexity. Our customers and our teams have to navigate 17 different types of work pass, each with its own unique business rules and processes. Our customers are also extremely diverse, from large international multinational companies to small local businesses to households of varying income levels. We even service work pass holders themselves, C-suite executives, all the way down to students looking for short work stints on their holidays. So the question was, how do we design digital services that can meet the diverse needs of our customers and also meet our internal needs as a regulator? We relied on several IT systems which were built 15 years or more ago. For various reasons, over time, these systems no longer met the needs of our internal and external users. So we reflected on three broad problem areas, which I'll go through. First, we had continuously added complexity into our systems with each new business rule and process. And given the use of older technologies at the time, this actually limited our ability to make changes and keep up with basically the developments in the labor market. So changes was limited and slower. Second, these systems perform their functions mostly independently, so that placed the burden on our customers to know which system would be suitable for their given use case. And third, the graphical user interfaces had become increasingly unintuitive, which created time-consuming and error-prone journeys for our customers. So these are three areas we tried to solve with the new system, which covers this project. So with the overall vision, goals, and broad problems in mind, we applied established service design methods to each part of our work. So this meant that in redeveloping every new major product feature, we committed to a process of discovery, defining the target outcomes, prototyping and testing, delivering the software, and continuous iteration. So I'll be giving examples of the application of these steps in the coming slides. So to illustrate, I've chosen just one common work pass transaction, which is applying for a new employment pass in Singapore. Of course, we deal with hundreds of families of transactions within this system. So first, in our discovery stage, we started with describing the as-is service journeys in simple and visual terms. In this example of a new application, the journey starts with the user, typically a HR executive from a company, finding information from the MOM website before submitting an application via our e-services. There is a short period of processing before a result is conveyed to that user. And if all goes well, they can issue their pass and start working in Singapore. So we conducted group and one-on-one interviews with our customers and analyzed various data to develop the journey maps. So I think probably all of you in this audience are the experts with this technique. So I'll just focus on the pain points that were unique to this customer journey. So before applying for an employment pass, the unacquainted customer could go through over 10 different web pages on the eligibility criteria, the conditions on advertising the job, lists of occupations in demand, and more. So this was an overwhelming experience that was a pain point to many of our customers. During their application phase, our customers did not appreciate the large amounts of data that we requested in an application. So there were things like travel documents, education certs, proof the job was advertised, licenses from other government agencies, and so on. So they also felt the exact application requirements were often unclear. Yet a single mistake in the application, single mistake in a field could result in a rejected application. So for example, we used to ask for passport photographs in our application form. To us, it was clear that we wanted a photo or a scan of the biodata page, so we could see your name, your nationality, and so on. But to some users, this was an example of an unclear requirement based on the decent number of selfies and corporate headshots that we received. And this actually led to rejections of those cases, so definitely a pain point for some users. Another pain point came at the end when we delivered the result. So some users felt that the reason for the rejection was unclear or lacked transparency. So they did not know if it was worth their time to appeal for reconsideration. And even if they did, they didn't know sort of what grounds they needed to make that appeal on. So these were some major pain points we found. Okay, so we then moved to a process of defining the problems and the target outcomes. This typically involved a review of the underlying business processes. So I think we just plotted it out, but you don't need to go into detail. A few points on the method that we used. So first, we challenged each business requirement and removed any that were no longer necessary. So in our experience, it was challenging to work with business owners on the criticality of each business requirement. Sometimes they could not explain the origin of the requirement or the specific and immediate impact of that requirement, but they had an intuition that it was probably needed at some point. So over time, a lot of effort was spent convincing the business owners that they had to get used to the idea of giving up things that were no longer necessary. Next, after removing the unnecessary tasks, we looked to simplify or speed up the processes. So even if a business owner justified a requirement they had because it was critical, we would still push further Could it be provided in a simpler way? Could the data be obtained elsewhere instead of troubling our customer to provide it to us? And finally, we challenged ourselves to automate as many of the remaining tasks as possible through system solutions. Okay, so after reviewing the business process, we articulated the problem statements together with quantifiable target outcomes. This helped the teams and our stakeholders further consider if we were on the right track, whether we were making progress towards the vision of seamless customer services. So in the case of an application for a new employment pass, a key problem statement was the average time of 30 minutes to fill up an application form. Our target was to reduce this from 30 minutes to 20 minutes. In the end, we actually achieved a slightly larger saving than we anticipated, but the important point is that we had a good idea early on if the solution would meet the ambitions of our stakeholders and our teams in delivering seamless customer services. Okay, then we moved to developing feature prototypes of the new application service and conducted usability tests. Watching our customers use these prototypes yielded new and meaningful insights that we could clearly act on. So for example, here, we learned about our users' preference to open links only in new tabs or windows, or save drafts regularly because they feared losing their data and having to start the process again. So for this, we made sure that we had to implement a rapid auto-saving mechanism in each of our applications. So the next step was delivering the software features incrementally using agile processes. I think most of you would be familiar in some way to those. So in this slide, we've really zoomed out to give a macro view of the multi-year delivery roadmap. A couple of questions that we asked ourselves: how can we reduce the risk of delivery for such a massive system? Secondly, how can we replace a critical legacy system in an incremental way while keeping operations running smoothly? So on the first question, basically we avoided big bang releases. We split up our work into 6 phases and ensured that any phase didn't have too many new features rolling out at the same time. This also helped us steadily grow our confidence and capability as a team. The second point, it was a difficult idea because it's akin to changing a bicycle while still riding it, changing all the parts of a bicycle. So basically this informed our delivery approach. We had to design our solutions so that the data could be used by both old and new systems. We had to continuously deal with the trade-offs, the pressures on improving each new service we had rolled out versus finishing the remaining features that were due to be launched. Third, we had to have a continuous focus on change management, preparing our users for the frequent shifts to their workflows as their features were replaced. Okay, now on to the outcomes. We largely achieved the service outcomes that we set at the start. Reduced overall form filling time by 40%, equating to about 80,000 business hours a year, given the large volumes of transactions we deal with. We also brought the percentage of customers who reported a good experience using our services from about 60% before we started to about 95% today. So we have a few specific examples. The image on the left here is about the pain point of being presented with very lengthy instructions, and also instructions that were not easy to understand. So after that process of business process review, cutting out all the requirements we didn't need, simplifying and speeding up those that remained, we managed to land on a much lighter solution with sort of the mandatory reading. We kept the mandatory reading to a minimum. Okay, so the story for these 2 images is about guiding the customer on what to do next, which was another pain point. So on the left, you can see that the customer really needed to know which feature they had to use and sort of find it on the left-hand panel before they could proceed. But we revamped that to present sort of a simple customer journey in the form of dashboards. So they didn't need to remember the name of the service, just roughly what is the stage of their application. So we also improved on the pain point of clarity on the reasons for rejection and so on. So before we would give an indication about whether the application was likely to be approved based on just a small subset of criteria, their age and their salary. So now, today, we moved to a more transparent framework where we provide information on individual attributes, skills, salary qualifications, and also the company attributes, diversity of their workforce, for example, which are all used in processing a work pass. So, yeah, you can see that the information now on the right-hand side is presented in a very clear and transparent way, which helps inform the customer before they decide to submit their application. Okay, so the last step in our service design method is continuous iteration. And with finite resources, we know that we can't endlessly improve all our services. And to make informed decisions, we used our own version of a prioritization funnel. So at the top of the funnel, we maintain feedback loops with all our users to ensure that as much data on the pain points and positive experience filtered in. This was supplemented by formal requests that come in from our internal users and our stakeholders. And what we did is we turned all of these requests and feedback into problem statements with quantifiable target outcomes. And then finally, we used a transparent and competitive process to prioritize the issues to work on. And we did this evaluation based on objective criteria such as cost, impact, and alignment to our service vision. And overall, the intent is to ensure that everything we do represents the highest value for money for the organization. This is my last slide. We just wanted to end with a few reflections on the challenges we faced. One was on the business domain being so complex, involving many tightly connected customer journeys. So the point here is that we really needed to invest heavily into the discovery phase of each feature. It required commitment not just from the design and the product teams, but also most of the internal users we serviced, frontline customer support teams, and so on. I mentioned a couple of the challenges here before. Challenge of streamlining entrenched business processes. So removing a single requirement typically involves many levels of clarification and stakeholder engagement. I also alluded to the challenge of replacing an IT system while keeping operations running smoothly. And the last point was about just being conscious that often it was quite seducing to want to simplify a task or improve a process that only impacted the external customer, because that reflected in our survey data and also complaints and so on, at the expense of the internal customer who maybe were less vocal or impatient with us. So this required regular rebalancing with our stakeholders so that we did not neglect the internal customer experience. Okay, so that's all. I've left my email here if you'd like to connect and learn more about our project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks.
Thank you. There's some here, right? You are listening as well? Like, you don't listen this? No? I was sitting here, and there's the wood here making noises. It was kind of like making me tense. All right, so this is another project that we can see the complexity of how service design can conduct a project within a complex system, dealing with legacy systems, with different disciplines to make something that can look as simple as an employment pass form, right? But it is so much more than that. So now the winner of the student category, they could not be here today, so they recorded a video for us to watch. It's the project is called Service Design for NORCs. The student team is Mia Mo, Robin Carino, and Samila Esaki from the University of Toronto in Canada.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're truly honored to be here today, especially after being awarded Best Student Project. It's an incredible recognition, and we're excited to share the journey that brought us here and the work behind our project.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mia.
Hi, it's Samiha.
And I'm Robin. We're a team of 3 UX design graduates from the University of Toronto's Master of Information program, and our journey together began with a 4-month co-op at Bridgeable, which is a leading service design agency in Toronto. During our time there, we immersed ourselves in service design methodologies with invaluable mentorship from Chris Ferguson, who's Bridgeable's founder and an adjunct professor at U of T. We combined our coursework with hands-on experience, bringing theory into practice right from the start. Before long, it became clear that the project we were working on was more complex than anticipated, so what began as a 4-month co-op evolved into a 12-month internship. As a small dynamic team, we embraced a wide range of roles, from user research and service design to strategy, business analysis, and even app development. It wasn't always easy, but our combined skill sets allowed us to approach each challenge with creativity, flexibility, and fresh perspectives. But now comes the real challenge. In Ontario, Canada, nearly 2,000 rental buildings are home to communities where 30% or more of the residents are aged 65 and older. These are known as naturally occurring retirement communities, or NORCs. Now, you'd think that with so many aging residents, these communities would have robust, coordinated home care services in place, but the reality is very far from it. Ontario's home care system is underfunded, fragmented, and not designed to meet the unique needs of seniors living in NORCs. The system operates as though all clients live in suburban homes, forcing care providers to travel long distances between clients and perform piecemeal work that often leaves both older adults and their caregivers frustrated. This is where the NORC Innovation Center at the University Health Network stepped in. The NIC is pioneering a model that integrates professional healthcare with community-based support, empowering older adults to live independently and with dignity. Their approach leverages the dense populations of NORCs, aiming to create a holistic support system that combines health, social, and physical services to help older adults age in place. However, while groundbreaking, this approach faced significant obstacles. The NIC lacked an established service model, as well as the tools and resources tailored to this new approach. To make things more difficult, existing healthcare frameworks tend to silo medical and non-medical roles and services, which doesn't fit well with the integrated care that the NORC model seeks to deliver. Just to give a couple of examples of how this challenge has impacted the NIC's frontline team, one of the key issues that we uncovered early on was that these frontline workers spend hours outside of their shifts documenting their interactions with residents. As one connector shared in our interviews, I have a desire to create a connection, so I need to document the context. It's time-consuming to record, but it's essential for building rapport and trust. This documentation process, while crucial, is incredibly time-consuming, and that's just the beginning. We also found that many resources were scattered across multiple, often incomplete or outdated documents. One connector explained how they frequently reached out to community partners, only to discover that those same partners had already been contacted by someone else at the NIC. This lack of centralized, updated information was creating inefficiencies and unnecessary repetition of work. Another major hurdle was that most work processes were manual and analog because frontline workers felt that using technology around residents might seem impersonal or rude. One integrated care leader put it this way: using some sort of device or technology around a patient or resident could feel rude and disconnecting and could actually hinder rapport building that's so important to the frontline team's work. With these insights in mind, the NIC was looking for a platform that could streamline service delivery for frontline staff, improve care efficiency, and enable a better coordination across teams. They also wanted a system that could eventually facilitate data collection and support scaling the NORC model nationally. This project primarily targeted frontline staff working in NORC settings, especially community connectors, integrated care leaders or ICLs, and nurse practitioners. In our current work, we'll be aiming to support the NIC's operations and research teams through a backstage journey management portal and possibly integrate features that could benefit the residents themselves. However, we want to emphasize that this platform became much more than just a digital solution. It evolved into a central tool for negotiating and shaping key components of the new service model. Our work extended far beyond the screen, encompassing non-digital touchpoints and broader service design implications.
Thank you, Robin. Now I will show you the process of our 12-month project. At the beginning of our project, we started by reviewing the client's documentation to gain a solid grasp of their mission and vision. We then held a remote workshop with the leadership team to explore the problem space and better understand the roles of the frontline staff. Following the workshop, we conducted one-on-one interviews with staff members to dive deeper into their needs and challenges. These insights help us to identify key pain points and tensions, such as the difficulty in managing community resources and balancing data tracking with building reports with residents. And we also use them to create our first versions of journey map and user flows. This foundational research set the stage for our design direction. In the next phase, we organized a co-design workshop that guided participants through service stages using both digital and non-digital prototypes. We presented two scenarios. One focused on widespread technology adoption, and the other one emphasized manual analog tools. This approach allowed us to see how different solutions fit into the user workflows and supported their key tasks. After gathering feedback, we refined the touchpoints and prioritized features that would best support this service model. These findings were also shared with the leadership team to align on the next steps. We then began our design phase. We ran 2-week design sprints to rapidly develop and test early concepts. In the first sprint, we tested a resource hub, which consolidated scattered resources into one place, improving efficiency. In the second sprint, we introduced Interaction Tracker, which automated clinical referrals and made interaction data collection smoother. We combined digital and non-digital solutions to reduce bureaucracy and improve care. After each sprint, we iterated our solutions based on feedback and shared updates with the client. During the implementation phase, our team focused on connecting the front end, which built on Microsoft Power App, with the backend. Initially, we used SharePoint for data storage, but anticipating the project's growth, we transitioned to SQL for better security and scalability. As we made these backend changes, we also adjusted the prototype to ensure it aligned with the updated infrastructure. This step prepared the platform for future features, like a journey management system and an analytics dashboard, which will be developed starting in September 2024. Our goal was to ensure the system could handle increased complexity and scale effectively. Finally, we initiated a staggered beta launch, allowing frontline staff to test key features in real time. To support this, we created storyboards and demo videos to show how these new tools fit into the service model, making onboarding easier. We also updated journey maps and flow maps to better illustrate how the system works. The final deliverables included a fully tested platform, a detailed service blueprint, and comprehensive training materials to ensure a smooth rollout for all users. Now I will pass on to Mia to talk about the impact of our project.
Thank you, Mia. So the impact of the project is twofold. The NIC team now has a new employee portal co-designed to support both front and backstage operations. On the front stage, our platform supports the community connectors and NORC residents. It is expected to serve 3,783 residents across 15 sites in the Greater Toronto Area. By streamlining tasks for more than 8+ frontline team members with plans for further expansion, the portal is enhancing care provision and improving efficiency in everyday operations. On the backstage side, the operations and research teams benefit from improved data collection, outcome tracking, and increased visibility into the program's performance. This dual functionality ensures that both service delivery and program management are improved, allowing the NIC to better meet the needs of residents while optimizing internal processes. The service design process has also enabled the client team to effectively navigate trade-offs and address existing tensions. By sharing our prototypes and soliciting feedback early on, we helped start a conversation between different stakeholders and bridge the existing communication gap by intervening as an objective party. This approach addressed organizational and service tensions. One frontline member noted that layers of frustration have recently been lifted, reflecting the positive shift in attitudes. Initially, 60% of the frontline team resisted incorporating the new service model and technology for fear of impeding their rapport building with residents. However, by involving them in every step of the process and contextualizing the use of the platform using journey maps and storyboards, 100% of the frontline team is now open to using the platform and has actively participated in its beta testing. One of the connectors has stated, "You listen to us," in reaction to feedback implementation. People who were reluctant to use technology initially became advocates of the tool and were excited to get their hands on it. We heard things like, "I'm going to be happy to get rid of the data sheet and take it from someone who sucks at tech. It's going to be so much faster." We also heard something like, "This is going to make life so much easier." So not only would this tool reduce their time documenting interactions as one of their main tasks, but it would also free up time to focus on other things like outreach to create new partnerships for the program. During the last testing round, we heard that opinion hasn't changed. I'm very positive about it. I want to test the whole app. As we close, I'd like to highlight a powerful endorsement from Joe Pidula, who's the senior program manager. He said that he's confident that this will help streamline work, and he's betting it will be the poster child for UHN. This statement reflects not only the immediate impact of our platform, but also the potential it has to lead innovation within the entire UHN system and beyond. At the end of this presentation, we would like to extend our deepest gratitude to everyone who supported us throughout this project. A special thank you to our project manager, Chris Ferguson, and our academic advisor, Matt Ratto, for their guidance and support. We also want to thank all the staff from the NORC Innovation Center for their collaboration and feedback. We're honored to be winners of the student category for the Service Design Network Award 2024, and we sincerely thank the SDN jury for this recognition. Finally, thank you for listening to us, and if you want to learn more about the NIC's work and connect with us, please scan this QR code. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Okay, so we have a little time for some questions. So I would like to ask Danny maybe back to stage. And now Alex is coming to represent Absa ChatWallet. If you have any questions, you can ask them through the platform. But meanwhile, I will start with my own question. Please. So first, maybe you could share a little bit about your experience participating in the Service Design Award. How was it like to convince people internally that you should submit your work and to collect everything and to get the submission ready? And afterwards, how was it received once you knew yesterday that you won the award?
Okay, I think for us it was something we wanted to do for a long time. And I think when we launched ChatWallet and we saw the initial impact, something we're immediately proud of. So then we started amping ourselves up. I think it wasn't really about convincing the organization to apply, but more creating the space, because it's a rigorous process to put together a case study. And I think as a team, we worked really hard to get something that's high quality. That also conveys the impact in a way that someone outside our context can really understand. So I think that was, it was a long journey in doing that and a few sleepless nights, but really glad for the recognition. I think in response, I sent a WhatsApp to our team, so our broader design team of 140 people, and to our executive leadership team, and the reaction was just amazing. I got an email at something like 9:45 from our PR team. They've already drafted the thing, and so it's lots of excitement. And I think as a bank, the award means a big deal to us. So thank you so much for the recognition.
Thank you, Danny.
Okay, well said. For us,
Yeah, we definitely recognize the value of these awards in just motivating our people and just recognizing the good work that hundreds of people have put into this project. So we were pretty deliberate about submitting awards, not just to SDN, but there were also some other international forums that we applied for awards. So I think that was already on our agenda. Yeah, like preparing for this, the SDN submission, again, quite a bit of investment in time and effort for our people, but ultimately worth it. So I'm very happy to have done so.
Good, great, thank you. So I have a question here in the platform for Absa ChatWallet. Was it difficult to find the business case for this? And while it solves a big issue, it doesn't seem to bring in a lot of profit for the bank.
Yeah, so the business case, it was quite challenging to develop, but I think what really helped was we worked with our pricing team quite closely to see where the value actually sits. So we did have quite a few iterations on the product proposition to see how we could unlock value, but also make it very cost effective. So it was this tension between design and the customer need and pricing. But when you take a long-term look at the proposition, then you can actually see it unlock value. If you take a 1-2 year view, then it's not really profitable. But if you look at the next 5-10 years, it actually changed the game for us as an organization. Yeah. And in our board strategy, it's deemed as a key pillar for our growth in the next 5 to 10 years.
And maybe just to extend on that, how did this idea came to being? It was something internally, someone had this idea, or it was a focus on the need instead of kind of like to start with the solution? Because sometimes within an organization, a project starts with a solution in mind, and then we have to change it all over. How was this process in the beginning?
I think it was almost like the mixture of a perfect storm. We had recently done some work on a payments innovation, separate to this. So we'd spent a lot of time with customers understanding payments and the use cases. And then we'd also recently done some work on biometric authentication. And over the years, we have noted a lot of customers saying they're uncomfortable. You know, if the phone gets stolen, is their money stolen? How can they make it more secure? So knowing those customer needs, when all our technology lined up, then the spark lit. I think one night, Savan and I were chatting, and we built a little prototype, and we took it to Exco, and everyone was very excited. Because at that point, you know, as a bank, we've really spent time doing customer research, so people really understand the pain points. You know, I think if we looked 10 years ago, we probably would have designed a thing and then put it in the market and hoped it worked. I think our approach now is really customer-centric. And so I think this time it worked, you know, and going forward, I think our organization is now doing this more and more often. And I think the size of our design team is actually testament to that. Understand the customer. I mean, actually, this morning I got an email where we wanted to change something. And the head of the product line said, I'm comfortable, but I want to see how the UX works before I let it go live. So it's been a real change in our organization in how we approach things, and I think this work is testament to that. And thank you for SDN for informing us in a lot of these principles.
Thank you. I have one last question to Danny. Then it's about, so it seems like your project was very much with a technological base, let's say, and service design might be foreign to that process at some organizations. So how was this service design journey within this context, and how maybe the perceived value of service design changed throughout the project with different types of stakeholders?
Yeah, I guess our context is, we think we're quite mature with service design as an organization. I think it's like as far back as 15 years ago, we had implemented design thinking initiatives. A lot of it was sort of just to inform the design of the physical touch points. And those yielded success. So that's why it kind of translated into the digital space as well. So I think, yeah, it wasn't that it was a new kind of discovery for us that there was impact in sound service design methodologies. So I don't think there was additional sort of convincing needed. More of just, again, being clear what our vision was for this product and how service design could contribute to creating seamless customer journeys and so on. Yeah, so that's...
Perfect. That's easy then. When you have everybody buys service design from start. It's easy to start, it's easy to get it going. Great, thank you. Thank you. Congratulations to the winning projects. See you next year. Bye-bye.